upgrade for the M3 13.4 on-prem. And yeah, shortly, just a few things about me. My name is Alexander Schick. I'm the M3 technical team lead in Columbus and located in Hanover, for those of you who know. It's up in north more, and I'm working over 20 years already now in the field. It started with administrating MoveX 9.7, and that was around 2004. And since then, always sticked with this ERP system and worked with the whole life cycle and still do. It's coming from planning the system for new installations, doing the installation, maintaining the ERP system, and also connected products, but also upgrading like this one, and also migrating from older versions or other ERP systems we are supporting. And also sometimes it comes to decommissioning as a legacy system, or we consolidate also this the on-prem system as well. Of course, we support also cloud where technical expertise is needed. And myself, I'm with Columbus or back then it was iStone, since 2017, and I'm leading the Czech M3 tech team within Columbus. We have also a tech team located in Sweden, and we are closely cooperating with them, and actually we are kind of one tech team with them. So our main focus is to keep system updated, and that's our highly recommended advice, same as Infor has it as its best practice. And that's why it's also important to spread the word about this. And we also can help to improve configuration of existing installation and also optimize resource allocation, because that's kind of the most things we discover when we get hands-on on customer M3, that there is very often not optimal configuration, or resources are also not optimally assigned. Columbus itself, we are a strong partner with Infor. We have about 350 customers worldwide on M3, more than 300 consultants globally, and over 20 years of experience in the field. And also we have services, and especially the M3 application management, we offer 24/7 support and monitoring as well. Good. I think it's enough about that. So let's get on the topic. Goal of this session for me is that you get increased awareness about this topic. And I would like to share on a high level the current known information, as this topic is still being cooked, so to say. Yesterday there was an update sent out by Infor, which I'll have on the next slide as well, or in the slide after. And I would like you to inform about the current status as of this today, so to say. Things are changing and we are still in the process. But still, this should all enable you to plan ahead and get an idea, a better idea of the Tech 2.0 upgrade. And by that, all information, a little disclaimer, all information is provided without any accountability or reliability, but as best of knowledge, of course. Introduction about the Tech 2.0. Why this is done, kind of, and it's the fundamental technology of the current M3 13.4, or you could say Tech 1.0. It's outdated for a long time. There are components of a third party or also open source that are stale, and development has stopped or moved over to other projects. Like, for example, Hornet Q framework is used for Event Hub, and that's not developed further anymore, which is causing, of course, security vulnerabilities, but also system compatibility to Java or to other connected systems. And that is creating problems. And most of these days there are activities going on about the vulnerabilities check, and we often get reports about, yeah, M3 does have components that are vulnerable or have known vulnerabilities. Of course, it's limited in performance by that as well. And as mentioned, with depending operating system and database systems as well. Infor by that announced the major technology upgrade. That was in March. There was a webinar, first one, two of them, where Infor announced that more deeply. And it's called Tech 2.0. And the reason for that is because, as written, it's a technology upgrade. It's not the M3 itself upgrade. And I'll mention it a few times later on. It's only the fundamental technology, not the business engine logic, etc. That will not be upgraded. It's using all over the places Java 17 instead of Java 8. Java 17 is a lot more modern and allows Infor as well to more easily support Java 18 and the following ones. And yeah, 18 is just in sustained maintenance. It's just security fixes delivered. So it makes sense to go to Java 17 because it's more future-proof. It's using the same application server as Infor LTR for the web applications, you could say. No, also you will know it as the grid. And as mentioned, the M3 business engine remains the same. No functional changes within M3 itself. All of this information is published on the KB. I'll also put a screenshot on the right. And you will find there some common questions from the first webinars had. And also information from the interactive briefing. I'm reviewing some of the information there, but not fully. You will also find the recordings from those sessions. So I recommend to subscribe to that KB to get the updates directly via email. One thing to consider is that for customers that are on 13.4 on-prem but have no planned cloud migration activities within the next 2 years, this is very important to follow up and maybe and to consider to really do the upgrade. Because but if you have plans within the next 2 years to go cloud live, it's a production environment, then it might not make sense to take the effort doing the upgrade. But for anyone else, this is really important. About the timeline, yesterday, this was sent out by Infor. Limited availability is available. I couldn't find out what limited availability really means, but I assume it's the beta access is wiped out. And as marked as well here, the general availability is planned to be end of this year, 2025. The IBM release is not yet communicated, but it's assuming to come Q1, Q2, and the next year. Some of the information mentioned is also written here, like the Java and the grid and the enhanced security. That's from the info presentation, and it's for those products that get a new version released for the Tech 2.0. So these are most of them are the core components from the core technology, like LCM, there's a new version, but it looks and feels almost the same. Infor Grid is the new one, as mentioned. It's similar as you used in the Info LTR. Enterprise collaborator tools got an update. The foundation itself for M3 got an update, UI adapter, and all the rest. Also, M3 CLM gets an update. Yeah, meanwhile, it is released. So this is still on the March presentation. Good. I'll not read all of them. I think you can go through them or read them later on when you get the presentation. Then we have the products that are already released and are already compatible with the Text 2.0. As mentioned, the business engine itself, as it is of now, it is compatible and will be taken over. Factory track, demand planner, those versions and more recent are already compatible. They use the REST API, and that will be, of course, still available also. Then we come to products that are not included in M3 Text 2.0 and not compatible and decommissioned by that kind of. We have the session providers. That means the LDAP session provider, Windows session provider, they are not supported anymore. It's only the SAML session provider that will be supported. And this implies that it requires an Infor LTR instance, which is connected to Microsoft ADFS server for user authentication. The GDBC is not needed anymore with the new grid. Web service runtime is decommissioned. Workflow executor, the Infor Enterprise search. I have more information on that later on. Yeah, the web services designer connected to the web service runtime will not be there, and instead most of customers are still using anyhow the M3 REST API anyhow already. On the right we have Infor Smart Office that will not be supported anymore, and that will hit a lot of customers. I have a bit more on that on the next slide as well.
Alex,
Yes.
have you seen the question? Is it possible to replace ADFS server with a connection to Azure Entra ID?
You still need to have a local ADFS server, but that one can be connected to an Azure Entra ID. In that sense.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, Lars.
Welcome.
Okay.
I have to chat now also open up. We'll see the next one. M3 warehouse mobility, it's also discontinued, but for a long time it's already factory track is the replacement for that. But that's no big news, I think. And again, once on the Infor Smart Office, it's a very long time already in the, as Infor mentioned, it's in the sustained maintenance already. The .NET framework is not future-proof. It's kind of old technology. It's still supported by Microsoft. The new versions came out. However, Infor is not further developing on it. It's based on the old technology. So it's the advice for a long time already. Migrate over and start using H5 because Smart Office, it's not the go forward product. The earlier you move away, the better. Yeah. So of course that's kind of a challenge because the end users are used to that, and it needs user training a bit for the new UI and a bit different functionality. However, that's the future, and the effort should be taken, need to be taken in the end. Enterprise search, as it is known of now, is replaced with M3 function search feature, which is the same that is also used in the M3 Cloud edition. And that one is powered by an Elasticsearch instance, which will be installed separately. And instead of having the integrated Apache Lucene framework, which was the case with the current enterprise search. So it's another search technology, you could say as well. The migration topology looks like this, that you will need to have a new stack. That means, there's a question, hold on. Will UI created with M3 mashup designer stop working in M3 after test 2.0? If it's H5 mashups, then not, but the smart office mashups need to be migrated. And that's mostly requiring a developer for that to move them over to H5. As said, you will need to step up a new tech stack. That means new servers, except of Infor LTR. That one can be rewired, so that can stand. That makes things easier for the end user because the address would not change since Infor LTR stays the same. Infor some data and configuration will be migrated, but I would say most will be migrated as far as we could see. That's very helpful. However, all of that implies that there will be small migration projects required for this because the system need to be assessed that the migration went fine and the test, or usually only test, that all what needs to be migrated is migrated either by the tools or by manual activities. Validation of basic functionality, and most important are the integrations within the Mac, that they are working as well. And also if H5 or Infor LTR have not been used already, then also, of course, the user adaptation training need to be done, and that users don't feel lost with the new UI. All those need to be considered as well. And then in the end, of course, the go live cut over activity needs to be happen, and all that need planning and a project. The requirements, as far as known, Windows Server 2022 for the IBM I release, which is not released yet. It will be 7.5. That was already communicated. Microsoft SQL Server 2022. As mentioned, it's all over the place. Java 17, 64-bit. It's the Corretto distribution used, Amazon Corretto. But also the Oracle one can be used if you have the license already, just in case. As far as we could see, Enterprise Collaborator, there is a version requirement we have seen. And also Infor LTR, there is this version requirement. And UI adapter got also 10.3.1 mentioned. So that's something you could plan already to make sure you are on those versions at least. Yeah, Infor LTR needs a bit more effort. The others are rather easy. There will be, or there are specific M3 maintenance correction entities. That means fixes, kind of, which are for the core of the foundation. So it's nothing about M3 logic. It's there is a list as well available for that. But yeah, as said, it's only for the core of the foundation to make it compatible with the Tech 2.0. I can shortly, yeah, and that, It's like for Vertex 7, there are compatible integrations for Avatax and Vertex, and yeah, some changes to make it basically compatible. But those will not affect any modifications that customers could have or any business logic. CPQ, there's also a compatibility fix as well. And Elasticsearch needs also the minimum version of 8.15.3, and it's at least the open source version need to be used, and that works fine. I have a bit more information on that as well later on. Columbus is in the beta program for the Tech 2.0. We have started our hands-on around the 10th of September, so not a full month yet. And we have got updated installation and admin guides for the Tech 2.0, and also, of course, the installation files. The process is ongoing for that, and it's not completed yet, but we could say that the migration of our demo environment is on a happy path. So we have all or on the latest version anyhow. We have just the 200 gigabytes entry database, and anywhere else, you could say we have almost the vanilla setup. We have some H5 scripts and H5 mashups, and we have some Mac mappings, but not that many, and also not many Mac channels set up. So that's why it's almost a vanilla setup, you could say. And that makes it a good environment to test the migration because it's almost on a happy path anyway. We have a weekly feedback call with Infor where we exchange our experiences during the installation and migration, and it's sometimes unclear documentation or sometimes inconsistent behavior during the installation. So some unclarities to make it just easier for the final release and more complete and robust, so to say. The planned finalization on our side is next week. So around Monday, we hope to have fully migrated, and we'll start testing and reviewing on our side. And some insights from our experiences so far. As mentioned, it's Java 17, 64-bit, and all places. The LCM Lifecycle Manager, the look and feel is the same. And the grid, as mentioned several times, is similar as used by Infor LTR, and also Cloud Components, Enterprise Connector, or the Central File Transfer is using also that grid. And that means that, Infor is actively developing further on that grid and supporting it, of course, as well. So that's kind of the future grid version. The only difference is that if you open the grid pages, it will be outside of LCM, opened in an external browser. Because in the current one, it was using the Internet Explorer engine, and Internet Explorer itself is not supported anymore as well by Microsoft, and that's why it's opening in an external browser. Can be Chrome, can be Microsoft Edge. Both work fine. As part of the migration process, the Take 1.0 LCM server is added as an external server, and that's where it starts to do the connection, and the grid is migrated, so there is a connection to the former grid, to the new grid, and from that point on, the applications are migrated. The applications itself have different migration ways, but those are the most important. For the M3 Business Engine, the database is moved via the Microsoft SQL backup and restore functionality. And the rest for M3BE is done via migration wizard inside LCM, where you have the migration actions. I took a screenshot in here that you have different actions. So they could be done one by one, or if one fails, it could be repeated one step only, not all of them needed. And this is for the BE file system, meaning all Java classes, view definitions, and all other files from the business engine file systems, the M3BE folder, so to say. It will zip all the files on the source, move it over to the target, unzip it, and place the files where needed. That is including all the fixes and applied modifications, etc. All that's part of the business engine, class files and view definitions, etc. LCM database data and also LCM file system. So you get moved over the fixes and the registered feature packs and fixes, so you can see which are applied as well inside the new LCM then. For us, this step ran about 2 to max 2.5 hours. We stepped into a little trouble because at the last step, our disk ran full. It was really on the edge already, and then we needed to repeat that one. So altogether, it took about 2 to 2.5 hours, excluding the database restore. And as mentioned, we have a 2 GB database. It was rather quick to restore, but you know your hardware best, so you could do an estimate on that. How long does it take for you to restore your production database, backup and restore elsewhere? And you could do kind of calculations, time calculations by that. UI adapter, page 5. Scripts, personalizations, settings, all got migrated as far as we could see. That's very nice. And event analytics rules all got also migrated. Just also with a migration wizard within LCM. So that was very easy as well. Some more insights. The enterprise collaborator, also known as IEC or MEC. There, the migration is that the database is restored and then reused during the installation of the new MEC. So all channels, all the mappings, all agreements, API connection also got reused. All the schedules inside the MEC management pages is migrated. There, of course, it can be that some channels need some channels or the CFT folder permissions. They might need some adjustments. Depending on the channel, for example, if you have an SFTP server connected and that has IP whitelisting, or you have shared folders, that you also need to apply the same service users, so the permissions are matching and the shared folder can be accessed by that new MEC. So there might be few adjustments needed after, but the majority is migrated, and that's very good. The MEC mapper is based on a new Eclipse version and also using a more recent Java version. It's comes bundled with Eclipse as before as well, and it's version 2023-09. And that's also very good. It's a much more modern development environment and has better functionalities. So developers are happy about that. The M3 function search, as mentioned, based on Elasticsearch. That's then kind of, you have the same functionality. I took a screenshot from how it looks. For example, this is a CRS610, and if activated in that function, you will have the search field upright in H5, and clicking this advanced filter, you can write your query. If you have some specific combination of fields you would like to filter on, and then you have the command fields as well. So the functionality is almost the same as with enterprise search. During the migration, basic tables are migrated. So we have no custom tables added, so we did not test that yet. But I assume they should be fine as well during the migration. So that means all tables that you have activated or the interest centers, if that tells you something, they will be moved over as well. The MAK, the adaptation kit, is working with Eclipse version 20, the latest kind of from last month. That's also very good. And then, yeah, often it was come up the question about Elasticsearch. Is it license needed? Is not a license needed by Elasticsearch itself? And that's why I put in a comparison here. As mentioned, the function search works with the open source release of Elasticsearch, and you have kind of the features comparison here, and there is security included. There is a user setup as part of the installation with certain permissions that is then used by M3. But the paid one has some further security functionalities, but not required for function search. Machine learning, and yeah, those who need it. M3 does not make use of it yet. And advanced analytics is not in there, but not required by function search as well. Cloud enterprise integrations are limited with open source, but also not needed for function search. And the most important part probably is the technical support. So it's only by community support officially, or any third-party vendor that gives you support for the community version, so to say, or helps you out basically, which Columbus is also one of them. The paid license gives you professional support from Elasticsearch themselves and has 24/7 support by that on priority. So that means probably 95–99% will be fine using the open source license. All right. We're reaching time for Q&A. So where can you get more infos? Of course, you can contact me via that email if you have further questions or would like to get more information or plan ahead or all those things, just reach out to me. There's also the information published, as mentioned in the beginning, on the KB. So that's a good one to subscribe. And also there is an info contact listed where also to request more information. Some common questions and also the answers for that are if the Tesh 1.0 products need to be on the latest version before doing the migration. And yeah, there are no version requirements for all the products as mentioned, but some have it, which I mentioned. But anyhow, it's recommended to be on the latest versions too, because that's where we and also Infor did test the migration. It's a good idea to update the core products, the core technology on the latest version. The socket API is also still supported in Tesh 2.0, so there is no change on that. However, REST API is more future-proof and has more capabilities.
There's a couple of questions, Alex.
Yes, I'll read them out. So, can the various entry service be run on Azure hosted virtual machines, or are local data warehouse virtual machines required? They can run on Azure hosted virtual machines. However, I need to mention the SQL server need to be inside the virtual machine as well. The SQL managed instance does work, but sometimes there are problems. With Tesh 1.0, it was tested a few times, and the managed instance is restarted randomly shortly when Microsoft do move it over to another zone for maintenance, then M3 is losing connection, which sometimes is not good. So yes, it can be on AWS or Azure or any other virtual machine hoster, so to say. Question 2 is on-prem InfoOS LTR already on the same technical maturity level as on-prem Tech 2.0 is, or will that get similar modernization with future LTR release? Not sure if I get the question right. Infor LTR is in use since several years, and it is stable. It is a different technology stack, but yeah, with now Tech 2.0, they aligned the grid as said. From our experience, the grid inside the LTR is stable and runs fine. It has more features. It's more performant as well, but also uses slightly higher resources as well, at least on the InfoOS side. For the Tech 2.0, it's using same specifications on memory and CPU as far as we could see so far. Future stack upgrades, you mean the M3 Business Engine feature pack? There is no new announced, no, if that's what you mean. LTR. Yeah, still not sure. There are new LTR versions and it's still being developed and further updates will follow. Keep it up to date and new enhancements are added to that LTR. And yeah, the LTR is also making it possible to run in a hybrid version when transitioning to cloud later on as well. I hope that answers the question. Otherwise, let me know. Where can we find info on the hybrid? I would recommend utilizing the concierge portal, and it's in the documentations. If you just search for Infor LTR hybrid, you should be able to find it. But if you're not able, just reach out. I'll get the link for you then. One important thing, maybe I think kind of now it comes up to my head, is that Infor LTR need to be licensed. You need to have a license. There is a basic license included with any active support agreement. I think it has a user limitation. I think it was 100, but don't take me for granted. It's something to look up that if you are eligible to use Infor LTR as well with your amount of users. And you will also need 2 instances, one for test and one for production. It's not recommended and should not be done to use one LTR for 2. It creates lots of problems. So not supported, not recommended. Test and production should have their own LTRs. Okay, no further questions.
Doesn't seem like that.
Good, good. Then the last thing to say is thank you for participating. I really hope this gave you information you have been looking for and expectations are met. And as said, things are still being cooked and month or 2 months, we will have more information as well, but I think we are on a good spot and have some valuable information for you in here already.
Thank you very much, Alex, for your help. And I will, as I said, put this information on the website and let you know when it's done. So then we say thank you all for participating.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.